Hello and welcome to this participant training video. I'm Joanne Powell and I'm the principal investigator of this research investigation. It's called An Investigation of Autistic Traits, Performance on Socio-Cognitive Tasks and the Default Mode Network, an fMRI study. You'll probably keep referring to it as that fMRI study, and I will too, and that suits us both. Now, some of you may have already completed the first component of this study, so the behavioural tasks, and others might not yet have gone that far and are just trying to find out about the MRI component of the study, and that's fine too. But you should have received a participant information sheet and had opportunity to ask questions about that. Before you can go on, you need to complete the participant consent form. The MRI part of the study is located in Liverpool's Magnetic Resonance Imaging Centre, which is part of the University of Liverpool. You can find more information about this place on the website shown here, including directions to the centre. Now, before you go there, you have to complete the volunteer screening form. So to make sure that we know you are eligible to participate in the study, you need to complete that screening form, which can be found on this link below. Or if you haven't yet received it, then just remind me and I will send you a copy. So the idea is you go through it first and then I'll go through it to make sure there's nothing that is highlighted that we might require further information on. But then you would need to go through it with the trained member of staff when you get to the centre, who is, and she is a very lovely lady. So for those of you who've never seen an MRI scanner, here are a few different ones. It's basically a tube and you go on the bed and somebody raises the bed into the tube and you go head first. All it is a fancy device to take pictures of your brain when you are at rest or when you're engaged in a task. It's quite noisy though, so apart from the strong magnetic field that's involved with the MRI scanner, it's also quite noisy. So you have to put earplugs in as well. We also give you an emergency buzzer, so if anybody panics for any reason, they can just press the buzzer and we'll get you out straight away. So it's just to remind you that there are all of these safety mechanisms in place. So it's nothing to panic over. Now, a lot of people don't know exactly what's involved in an MRI scan. They perhaps think that you can have a scan that will tell you everything there is that you need to know about the brain, but it's not. There's different types of scans. There's some scans that are structural scans where they just take high resolution images of the brain. There are some scans that look at the connectivity between brain regions and others that look at activity in the brain, so what's happening in your brain when you're engaged in a particular task. And you can see a little picture of a boy there looking rather happy in the bottom left corner. You can see there he's got something over his head which has a mirror on it, so he can see the task that he's got to complete. And in the middle there is a button box, so it's just to show you an example of a button box that normally you would be handed, so you can make responses to the task. And you can see there at the bottom right is the general setup. You've got something going over your head, you've got your button box in your hand, your emergency buzzer, perhaps a cushion under your legs, things to make you comfortable really. The first thing that we do when we put you in the scanner is we like to check that the buzzer is working. So the radiographer will ask you to give it a little squeeze. You may hold it in your left hand. Perhaps once you've got both button boxes in your hands, you might put it next to you. And the main thing to do is to keep still and relax throughout the whole of the scan. So the scan only works when you keep very, very still. With the structural scans, and we'll talk to you between each scan and tell you what's coming up, but just to preempt things, with the structural scans you'll be asked to keep still and relax your hands. You can have your eyes open or closed. You just need to just keep still throughout and try and relax as much as you can. We do the structural ones normally at the beginning, and it also gives you an opportunity to get used to the scanner and the kinds of noises that it makes, because they are unusual noises that you won't necessarily be used to. So the task scans or functional scans, you also have to keep still and relax, but there are a number of different tasks which you'll complete inside of the scanner, which some of them involve responding to with your with finger responses, so button pad responses, and there's one task where you don't actually have to make a physical response. So let's have a practice of those tasks. The first task is what we in the trade refer to as a resting state scan. So for this scan, you just relax, fixate on the cross which will be presented on the screen. Fixate does not mean that you should not blink. Please do remember to blink. And you are asked to just allow your mind to wander. Or don't think of anything in particular, just allow your mind to wander. There's then a task called the word generation task that doesn't require you to make any physical response. There's then a task called the theory of mind task. You'll be given 2 runs of this, but they contain different scenarios, so it shouldn't be too boring for you. And it does require a button response. Finally, there is a faces task, which also requires a button response, but you only have 1 run of that. So let's have a look at the first task, the word generation task. So for this task, you are presented with a single letter in the middle of the screen. This letter will remain on the screen for a set period of time. And whilst the letter is on the screen, you are asked to silently generate as many words as possible in your head, starting with this letter, without repeating the words. So for example, if the letter H was presented in the middle of the screen, you might silently generate the words house, hamster, perhaps horse, hobbit, Harry, and you'll keep on going, trying to generate as many words as you can beginning with that letter, all the while just saying it in your head, not out loud. Remember, you're in an MRI scanner, so I can see what you're thinking. When the fixation point is presented in the screen, you again fixate at this point, but you silently repeat the phrase ba 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 in your head. So you silently repeating that phrase to yourself. So you're only generating words when the letter is presented, not when the fixation cross is there. There are no buttons or response keys for this task, so you just rest your hands. Remember to keep still throughout the task, even when the fixation cross is presented. So let's have a go. Remember not to say the words out loud. Okay, so hopefully that one was rather straightforward for you. The remaining tasks do involve a button response, so let's have a go at practicing those. When you're in the scanner, you'll have 2 keypads, 1 in each hand, and you only have to press 1 button on each of the keypads, depending on whether you think, depending on what you think the answer is. So let's practice. Put your left index finger over the A key on the keyboard and your right index finger over the L key on your keyboard. And let's do the other tasks. So we'll start with the theory of mind task. For this task, you are presented with a scenario containing one or more characters. This scenario may or may not be accompanied by some sort of speech from one of the characters in the story. In all cases, the scenario will disappear. You'll read the scenario. When it disappears, you'll be presented with a statement. Your task is to decide whether the statement is true or false. So if you think the statement is true, respond with your left hand. If you think the statement is false, respond with your right hand. And when the fixation cross appears, you just relax. So you don't have to do anything, you don't have to respond. Try not to generate bar 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 in your head. Just clear your mind. Now remember to keep still throughout the whole of the task. Okay, so the scenario comes up, you read the scenario, the statement comes up and you decide whether the statement is true or false. If you think true, respond with the left hand. If you think false, respond with the right hand. When the fixation cross comes up, don't do anything. Okay, let's have a go. Okay, hopefully that task was straightforward enough for you. You have the scenario and then the statement comes on, and when the statement's on, you decide whether it's true or false and respond accordingly. Right, next we'll move on to the faces task. With this one, you are shown a series of faces and houses. When presented with a face, you must indicate whether you think the face is male or female by pressing either with the left finger for male or right finger for female. So if you think the face is male, press with the left hand. If you think the face is female, press with the right hand. When you're presented with a building, you're asked to alternate pressing your left and right fingers as the pictures change. So each time the picture changes, you just press with a different finger. When the fixation cross appears, just relax. And once again, remember to keep still throughout the task. Okay, let's have a go. Okay, hopefully that task was also quite straightforward for you. So let's just have a recap on some of the things that we've spoken about, and I'll go through the procedure in full with you in terms of what to expect when you get to the centre and are going through the MRI part of the study. So firstly, if you've not already completed all your behavioural tasks, then you may have been asked to come to the centre early to allow you to complete these. It should be the case that for most people, the behavioural tasks, so all of your questionnaires and some of those other tasks that you're asked to do, are completed before you even get to the centre. You'll then go through your completed screening questionnaire with a trained member of staff. You'll then be asked to put all your items in a locker except for any clothes you'll be wearing during the scan, which you can take through with you when you get changed. So you are allowed to wear some of your own clothes when you get scanned. It's not just a gown. You can bring clothes that have no metal in them, so no zips or metal buttons, no metal tags or sports clothes which may have some metallic thread running through them. Generally, plain cotton jogging bottoms or PJ bottoms and plain t-shirt are okay to wear. Or sort of a fleecy type thing, so just nothing with any metallic thread running through it. You'll wear a gown over your clothes, so you do have to wear a gown, but this can be put over your clothes. Remember to remove any piercings prior to attending the centre, along with heavy eye makeup which contains metallic substances. The reason for this is that some people often think that they might be able to remove their piercings, and then when they get to the MRI centre they actually can't get some of their piercings off because perhaps they've been on for too long or for whatever reason, and then they can't go through with the scan. So I'll probably take this opportunity to remind you that an MRI scan costs £450, so if you don't come, it's very expensive, or if a scan has to be cancelled for something like this, it's a very costly error for either of us to make. So you'll then be shown through to one of the changing rooms where you can get changed into your clothes and gown. Now is the time to make that all-important toilet call to avoid any discomfort during the scan. It isn't the case that we can just take you on and off the scanner. Once you're on the scanner, there's a sort of expectation that you'll be able to complete the scan in the one setting. Obviously, if you need to get off for any emergency, that's another matter. We wouldn't want you to be in discomfort during the scan or upset, because that won't help. That won't be helpful for you or for anyone. So getting set up in the scanner. When you go through into the scanner room, you'll be asked to wear some earplugs for safety. You'll then be placed on the bed and handed the emergency buzzer and keypad. The keypad is what you will be using for those tasks that require a button response, and we'll go through those with you when we get set up. A mirror will be placed over your eyes and head so that you can see the screen behind you, which we'll use to project all the images onto that you need to complete the tasks. As you'll be there for some time, it's important that you're in a comfortable position, which will make it easier for you to keep still. So we like to make sure that you are happy, that you're not upset, that you're panicking for any reason, and that you're comfortable. You'll then be put into place safely in the scanner. Once you've been put in place safely in the scanner, you'll then hear the door close. So that's us leaving the room. So the radiographer and myself, the researcher, will speak to you through the intercom system. So we'll make sure that you're okay. And the first thing that you'll be asked to do is to squeeze the buzzer to make sure it's working. We can speak to you and you can speak to us between the scans, but we're not able to hear you inside the scanner during the scan, so when you are being scanned. That's why we have the buzzer, so that if you did need to communicate with us, we can stop the scan and either resume the scan, or if it's because you were getting really upset, it would be to take you out. During the scan, the first few scans are what we refer to as structural scans. So for these, you just need to keep still. You can have your eyes open or closed. You'll then complete the tasks which we just went through. Once scanning is complete, you'll be brought out and you're asked to just remain lying down until instructed to sit up slowly and then get changed. And there's one questionnaire which we ask you to complete before you leave, which relates to the tasks you completed inside the scanner. It's not something that you can do before you do the scanning tasks. You'll then be debriefed. I'd like to thank you for watching this. You can repeat the video as many times as you need to. If any questions are raised following the content of the video, or you want to ask any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'm more than happy to answer questions. I'd like to just take this opportunity to say that MRI scanning, it's a very interesting and novel experience. I've been scanned many times. It's very different to a clinical scan, which is what somebody might do if they're referred to have a scan through the doctor. It's nothing to be frightened of. Please do contact me if you have any questions, and thanks once again.